Hi, welcome to today's episode of Strength and Dignity. We are talking about 31 different organizations and individuals that are instilling strength and dignity in people around the world that desperately need it. Today, I am excited to introduce you to David Carroll, who works with neighborhood houses in St. Louis. He's got an incredible program going on, and I'm looking forward to you hearing him talk about the things that they're doing in North City. David, thank you so much for being here.
And thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. So David, tell us a little about neighborhood houses and a little bit about your role in what you do there.
Okay, absolutely. So Neighborhood Houses is a 103-year-old youth serving agency that primarily focuses on educational and opportunity activities for youth that are living in underserved communities around St. Louis. We've got a continuum of care that starts at 6 weeks of age, working with babies in our center, which is called Caroline Mission. It was actually one of our first programs way back in 1913 when we started, and it's consistently been around serving the youth, babies 6 weeks to 5 years old of the St. Louis area. Once you leave that program, you move into what's called our school age services offering. And in school age services, we offer before care, aftercare, and summer programming at 18 different locations around the St. Louis community. The vast majority of that programming is at no charge to the parents. And what we focus on in that school age program is character development, academic achievement, making sure that the kids are reading at grade level, that they're doing their homework, that they're participating in school, and that they're more engaged. Obviously, the statistics show the more engaged a child is, the more likely it is that they will perform and move on in their educational pursuits. And then lastly, in that chronology, I guess, is our teen programming, which is focused on two different groups. One is teenage moms, and we are working with young women who live in St. Louis that are still in high school that are either pregnant or parenting. And we're trying to make sure that they have the skills they need to graduate from high school and to be prepared for post-secondary education or for career entry into careers. And then our last program is focused on teenage boys. It is called Magnificent Creations. And that program is a social enterprise that is a screen print business where the young men actually get a paycheck for working in the screen print shop. They also participate in character development curricula that we use. And it's really an opportunity for them to learn about entrepreneurship, small businesses, learning how to be an employee. And we've had phenomenal results with that program so far.
Nice, nice. Made for Freedom appreciates the screen printing. We've gotten some really great stuff from that group. So tell me.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
And they'll edit out bad stuff, right?
Do what?
Do they edit out the bad stuff, or is it all like all or nothing?
Oh, we're putting it everywhere. No, it's fine.
Okay. So let me blow my nose in. Sorry.
Okay, that you can do.
Can you pause it? I don't know. So anyway, all right. Okay.
He can totally pull that out.
Yeah, thank you. So we're extremely excited about the work that we did working with Made for Freedom, using the products that you provided that came from all across the world that were created by women that were former victims of sex trafficking, and then having our young men who live in North St. Louis actually print the products makes it a completely global item or piece of apparel when it's finished. So I'm extremely excited about the work that we've done with Made for Freedom, because it really is that thinking globally but acting locally mantra that you hear so much about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What would you say are the greatest needs of the youth in our urban areas?
So it's opportunities, right? You often hear about the achievement gap, but there's also what's called the opportunity gap. And to me, the opportunity gap has an even more profound effect on the long-term aspirations of a child or of an individual. Quite simply, if you don't see it, then you can't ever achieve that particular thing. So if you have never met an attorney or a doctor or a lawyer or an accountant, then you likely will not pursue any of those fields of endeavor. So those opportunities happen very naturally in families that have resources. You've got maybe a cousin or a relative that is in different careers, and friends who have traveled abroad, and friends who are, or friends or family members who are in college and have gone to various different universities. And those experiences, those opportunities happen very naturally. In our community, unfortunately, with the lack of resources, quite often those opportunities are not available for our young people. So as children at Caroline Mission with the babies, we make sure that we are using a large variety of vocabulary words. There are statistics that show the huge disparity in the number of words that a kid growing up without resources has heard as compared to a kid who has resources. How that manifests itself is a few years later when the children are trying to learn to read, their vocabulary is so much more limited because they never even heard these words that they're now trying to sound out, trying to pronounce. So that is an example of an opportunity that we read to the kids at Caroline Mission, even as 6-week-old babies. And we've got a way to track the kids' developmental progress in understanding words and language and colors and numbers and that type of thing. As you move into school age, become larger, right? So not only is it the opportunity to learn academic things, but it's the opportunity to go on a field trip. In our summer program, we take the kids to an away camp. Most of our kids have never been outside of an urban area. So when you get these kids out in a campground, you know, they're worried about bears and tigers and all kind of things that don't even exist in our part of the world because they've never been in that environment. And it's so funny to see them the second year starting to tease the kids who were coming for the first time that were also worried about all those things that that child was worried about the year before. That's an opportunity, that's an experience that the kids would never get. And then as you move into the older kids, having the opportunity to work, you know, there's a program in Los Angeles that's a social enterprise that has a screen printing business, a bakery, several other ventures. And its slogan is nothing stops a bullet like a job. And I sincerely believe that, you know, the opportunity to work keeps young men, people from engaging in other harmful or dangerous activities. So that is an opportunity. The unemployment rate for African-American teenagers is well over 50%. There just aren't jobs for kids, especially in their communities that are walkable. So that's an example of another opportunity that a child wouldn't necessarily have access to.
Great. You know, I was at a conference that talked about the correlation between joblessness and the rate of pimps and prostitutes. And I had never thought about that connection, that correlation. But the fact that you're providing jobs in an area that the joblessness rate is so high is like you said, it's preventing so many other things that could be hurtful.
Right.
So looking at the connection, and I guess I kind of just jumped the gun a little bit on this, but give me your thoughts on the connection between education or life skills and vulnerability or exploitation.
So there's a direct connection. Once you have experienced these opportunities, as we're closing this opportunity gap, then you realize oftentimes your self-worth, and you understand, and you create aspirations and dreams and goals, and you're less likely to engage in a lot of the dangerous behaviors or fall victim to someone introducing something negative because you know what you want to be. So if you are a young lady who has been in our program and you know you want to go to college, then you are less likely to engage in activities with a much older man, for example, because you know that's not on your path. You know, that's not where you want to go. You want to go to college. With our young women who have already become pregnant or are parenting, we enforce to them that that's not the end of your life. That's not the end of your aspirations and your goals. And we introduce them to other women who are extremely successful, who happen to have been young moms themselves, some very relatively recently, some 40 years ago. But all of them are role models for the young women that we work with. In the school age program, we use a curriculum called Conscious Discipline. And it really talks about self-regulation and decision-making. And we work with the kids from very, very young, 3 years old, until, all the way through our program. And what our hope is that when we're not around, that they remember those lessons when faced with one of those decisions that could take them the wrong way, if they happen to take advantage of that opportunity or to engage in that activity. So we'll never know, but we are certainly hopeful that all those lessons that we teach along the way will prevent some of that behavior. We believe that we're saving lives. It may not be today, but certainly in the future, when kids are faced with those kind of challenging decisions.
I have no doubt that you're changing lives. I mean, the impact that you guys have, especially starting at 6 weeks, that's incredible. And being able to walk with them through high school. So
right.
That's awesome. Can you share with us a story of strength and dignity that you have seen in a child that's gone through your program or has been part of your program?
Yeah, there's so many. There's, man, that's a tough one because you start to think about it. So a couple of quick things. So one of the opportunities that we had this past summer, we took a group of the Magnificent Creations young men that participate in that program. All are in high school. A few had graduated by the time we took the trip, but they had not made a college choice at that point. Several had not. So we drove to Memphis and we visited a historical Black college. It's called Lemoyne-Owen University. None of our kids had ever been on a college trip before. Again, that's one of those things that happens very naturally in homes that have resources. There's, that the parent, the mom, the dad, the aunt, the uncle, they take the kids somewhere to visit the school that they went to most often, trying to convince them to go there. Well, again, our kids often don't have that. So we took a group of 12 kids, 12 young men, to go visit this HBCU. And coming back from that trip, of course, we had the experiences and I had a chance to kind of see the looks on their faces, but several of the young guys said they never thought they could go away to college. They thought their only experience was with the community colleges here in the city, basically just Forest Park University, which is a good school, but it's not the only opportunity. It's not the only institution that is available. So seeing these guys and hearing them say, now I believe that I can go to college. Now I believe that I can go away to school. And 3 of those young men have now applied and are planning to attend that specific university nice. When they graduate this May. So that's certainly an example of strength and dignity and just that exposure, the effect that exposure can have. Imagine if we had taken them to 6 different colleges and universities, what their world of exposure could be. So that's just kind of an example. A more concrete story about strength and dignity, and it was actually featured in one of our recent newsletters. We had a young man who was 2nd or 3rd in his class in terms of grades at the beginning of his senior year. Very low performing high school here in St. Louis with a lot of distractions, fighting, just lots of different things that are going on at this particular high school. He was working in the print shop. He was one of our first employees, diligent, there every shift that was available, 3 days a week, 3 or 4 hours a day. And we noticed that his personal hygiene had declined substantially. And, that's the one advantage to having all guys. We can kind of pull someone aside and say, hey, man, what's going on? Give you some tips and some advice. And what we found was that this child was living in a house with no electricity, no gas. And I'm not sure if there was running water or not, but I know that there was no electricity, no gas. And his mom was staying with a friend so that her needs were met, but this kid was going home to a dark house every night. We also found out from meeting with his counselor at that high school that he hadn't been coming to school for about 2 weeks, but he was coming to work every day. He was figuring out a way to get back and forth to work because he obviously wanted to keep the job. He wanted to keep, obviously get a check, but he was also close to a lot of the kids that were in the program. They had dropped him from school. There's a rule that if you miss a certain number of days, I think it's 10, then they automatically withdraw you because it adversely affects the graduation numbers and some other statistical stuff. Because of our program and that we became aware of what was going on, and because of the relationship with the school, we were able to get him back in school to where he wasn't dropped. The school did some type of resource availability to get the utilities turned back on. They connected him to someone. Once the utilities were back on, his mom was back in the home, and this young man actually graduated third in his class. So he may have dropped a spot from second to third, but what could have happened was a complete dropout from high school in his senior year. And he actually enrolled and is attending a state university here in Missouri now. So that is, to me, just a really awesome indication of the strength and the dignity that these kids have, but the enormous obstacles that they're facing and how important it is to have someone to help them navigate those obstacles. And not just one person or agency. It really did take a partnership between our program, the school, and then party that actually helped to get the utilities turned back on and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Right. What a great story. And one last thing, if you were to give one action item for people who want to have a positive impact on the youth of our city, what would that be?
So it's pretty simple. It's get involved. I hear so often from our little kids all the way to the grade school kids and into high school, from people who have never been exposed to urban, some call it inner city kids living with very few resources, how smart, how great, how polite, how talented our kids are. And they only see what's on the news, right? Which is oftentimes, most times, negative. So once you get involved, you really find out the talents and the gifts that these kids have. So the number one thing would be to get involved. The only caveat would be get involved with an agency that's already doing the work. Don't go out and try to reinvent the wheel and create some new program. Don't create a fishbowl environment where you bring, 15 kids living with resources to kind of peer into the life of kids living without resources. Truly get involved and work directly with the kids, read with them, participate in activities that they're participating in. And once you get to know those kids, you'll find out how wonderful they are and really how many successful people could be coming out of our community with just a little bit of help.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, thank you so much, David. Really appreciate you taking some time to talk to us today.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode of Strength and Dignity, and I hope that you are ready for tomorrow's episode. We will continue exploring different organizations and individuals that are instilling strength and dignity in the lives of those around the world who desperately need it. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, David, there, Moses can cut from here.
Okay.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you. No, you did a great job. I didn't say my role at the beginning. I didn't say chief program officer, but I don't know if that's a big deal. I thought about it after the fact. And
I meant to say it and as I was introducing you, but
it doesn't
I didn't
matter.
want to mess it up. So I just thought I'll let him do that. But you know what? We can do it in the write-up because the video will not stand alone.
Right.
So
yeah.
Yeah, I need to, it was interesting because right now when I'm talking, I'm not hearing any loop back. But as soon as, and I'm not right now because we're still live. But when I talked, it was looping back and I could hear myself. So I don't know if that's on the recording or not, but either way, I think it went well.
Or maybe we're hearing it from here, maybe like the echo coming from.
Yeah, your microphone was picking up your speakers.
Yeah, that's what that's probably.
but it's not doing it all the time. So I don't know what happened with that, but maybe Moses can take care of something. I don't know.
Well, if we need to redo it, just let me know. It's not, it's, wasn't a big 20, 30-minute time commitment. So just, let me know.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you again. And
thanks.
If you want,
I was gonna say, let me know too. With shirts, we haven't talked lately. I didn't know if you had sold out of the original designs or how that's going.
The 314s were at Plowshare and Crafts on Delmar, and they
cool.
did well. In fact, December, he called and asked if I had any more. So I took all the rest of my 314s over there.
Okay.
I think we left those there. But then as January was approaching, or the first part of January, I went by and I was telling him, I don't know if you've heard anything about this catapult competition.
No.
No. I'm a finalist in a competition. It's the St. Louis Business Journal is doing, and it's the St. Louis Business Journal and MasterCard together have this competition. And basically there are 3 finalists. And during the women's conference that's next Friday, we will, they'll have a video about us and we get to tell our story. And then I have to give a 60-second pitch in front of 1,000 women. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
But yeah, because of that. So I started talking to Rich, the guy at Delmar, about the competition, and they have these articles. They're doing articles on me on a regular basis, just kind of tracking my progress during the 3 months. And I mentioned something about the fact that, because they just opened a new Plowshare and Crafts in Town and Country.
Okay.
And so I was saying, hey, if you wanted, because we have yoga mat bags that we just brought in from Thailand, and we have those yoga tees.
Yeah.
And so I said, it's January, everybody's into fitness, everybody's trying to get rid of the holidays. So we now have those yoga tees at Delmar and Town and Country.
Okay.
So,
well, let me know if you need some more. If you need anything, everything's going pretty well. We hired some, quite a few more guys, and so it's going pretty well. But of course, any support, we'd love to have. And then if you want to come by again, it was a brief kind of informal conversation, but I think most of our guys have not heard of. They don't understand the concept of sex trafficking and a lot of the things that you're trying to support the women that are coming out of. So that, I think you talked to the guys maybe 10, 15 minutes just about what you do. But, their eyes were like they had never been exposed to, they didn't understand it at all. And there was just an article, it was either an article or a episode on the news saying that St. Louis was like, I don't know, way at the top of places.
We're in the top 20.
Yeah, it was kind of high on the list. I couldn't remember the number, but it's a really relevant topic, and it's something good for them to understand what's going on, in the community around them. So even if you want to come back and just have that conversation again. Do you have new interns now, or the same ladies?
No. Well, Tara's still with me. She's kind of a part-time employee, so she's still with me.
Okay. Our
problem right now is the group that we were getting the shirts from in Haiti was just, I can hit stop broadcast.